I think there we go. Perfect. Okay, so this is the presentation I prepared. And the background for all of this was that, I was an employee. I work in a company with 500 people. We are about three or four people working in Alteryx. I use Alteryx about, about 5 to 7 hours every day for development work.
Wow.
And a lot of during this time, I run things, I develop things, I test them. A lot of the time I'm waiting for the computer to finish. It could, take a few seconds, a few minutes, but it's many times per day. So
Yeah.
I would say that I could easily lose like half an hour to over an hour a day just sitting there waiting. And this was running on a standard laptop, this experience, right? And as a company, we also have a cloud-based Alteryx server. And we have like 1,000 workflows that we want to run on a daily basis during the night, updating a lot of business intelligence, Power BI things. And we had a hard time fitting all of this stuff to actually complete running within the time frame that we had. So we started we started on a quest to find out how could we get some more computing power? How does that work even? And let me turn to the next slide. So we had different options for computers. We have on-premise computers. We have a cheap laptop, costs maybe 500 euros if you want to buy it today. You can buy a standard workstation, maybe cost 2,000 euros. You can buy a powerful workstation. If you go in on Dell and look at the powerful workstations, maybe they cost 8,000 euros. And if you take just for perspective, if you take a 4-year depreciation period, divide this over 48 months, this is like the monthly amount of money that you're paying, right? And then there was a cloud-based. You can rent a cloud computer, and the things that we've tried, and this is us doing this on AWS. I mean, a cheap machine is maybe 250 euro per month. An expensive machine is 1,000 euro per month.
Wow.
So that's quite a lot of money compared to the on-premise machines, right? And then there's the Alteryx server. The Alteryx server product. I don't know if you use that yourself.
The gallery, right?
Yeah, where you can schedule things.
Yeah, we do have it. Yeah. Well, that's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, we do too. We pay 100,000 euros per year for that product. 100,000 euro per year. So that's about 9,000 euros per month, including the cloud machine. So right here we have 3 orders of magnitude from 10 euros per month to almost 10,000 euros per month, right? That's quite a span. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to test Alteryx on all these different platforms and see how well it works. And then there's the Alteryx products you can use, there's Designer and there's the server. And on the Designer, can you run a lot of workflows next to each other? Yes, you can. You just open all the windows and you press run on each one. You can do as many as you want, basically, depending on your hardware. On the server, we are currently paying for 4 cores, meaning that we can run 2 jobs at the same time. And of course, on the server, you can do scheduling. In the Designer, there's no built-in scheduling.
Yeah.
And then also you can publish work and share it and monitor on the server. You can't do that in Designer. And then obviously the cost, 100,000 euros for the server and 7,000 euros per year for the that's what we're paying for the Designer license.
I see.
So these are the things that we basically have in front of us. Let's just skip this one here. So we had this. So to benchmark things, I have this standard workflow representing something typical that we're doing. It's a demanding workflow because we want it to take a long time, a measurable time to run. And it's using the AMP engine. And we've modified it so that it does not use any network resources. It only runs off the local drive because we don't want to have the network latency times affecting the measurements.
And then Meanwhile, we've got some Liam and Daniel joining. Yeah, just want to let you know.
I'm sorry. Are you saying something to me?
No, we have a few more people joining.
Okay. Do we now? Who is that now? I'm just looking at my PowerPoint presentation here. Is it Daniel we have?
Mm-hmm.
He's just trying to escape here. What happened here?
I made it.
Let's see who else we have here. We have Liam. Hello, Liam.
Yeah.
We have Daniel. I don't know when you joined us.
Oh, I just managed to join now, so just a couple of minutes.
Okay, because I was at one point I only had money with me, so it was like a very intimate user group meeting we had, and then we just right to the presentation, we just cut out all the fluff because money only had like 20 minutes left. Yeah, you guys came in a little bit on top of that. So what to do now? I think. How long have you been with us, Liam, here on this presentation now?
I just joined just like 1 minute ago, something like that.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, I didn't really
Maybe
hear anything.
maybe I should just jump a little bit back to the general presentation I had. Right. So we had like I have these slides here. Is this your first time with the user group, Liam?
Yeah, first time joining.
And you're also the first time, right, Money?
Yeah, I am. I mean, for Nordics, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we're hosting this out of Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where you're sitting, Liam.
I'm in Helsinki, so in Finland.
Yeah. And Money is in Switzerland.
Hi.
And yep. So normally I have a co-host called Johan, but he's sick today. So it's only me, and then sometimes we have Flavia from Alteryx helping us out as well. And the agenda we had for today was basically a presentation about Alteryx running on high performance computers, and a discussion afterwards on things that we could imagine that would make Alteryx even better. And around these two things, we usually also have a bit of like community updates and things like this, and presentation among ourselves. But this, I think, I'm going to skip that for today, if that's okay with you guys, and just go directly to the presentation. And the presentation was, if we just backstep a little bit here, basically running Alteryx on different kinds of computers. When you're sitting with Alteryx on a day-to-day basis, you often experience, you get used to waiting sometimes, 30 seconds here, 2 minutes there, 1 minute. During a day, it kind of adds up. My experience is that I easily lose like an hour a day just waiting when I was running Alteryx on my standard laptop. And as a company, we also have problems running all the things that we want to on the Alteryx server. We have problems running this during the night. There's simply not enough hours in the night to finish all the things that we want to do. So we started looking into how could we get more computing power in Alteryx. We have on-premise computers, physical computers. You can have a cheap laptop, you can have a standard workstation, a powerful workstation. They cost different amounts of money. These are some concrete examples that we've dealt with. And you can get cloud-based computers as well. They're typically much more expensive. The monthly expenses for these depends, of course, on the power of the machine, but the machines that we've been renting range from about 250 to 1,000 euros per month. And the physical machines, if you use like a 4-year depreciation period, they only cost like from 10 euro to maybe 100, maybe 200 euros per month. So there's a lot of span in the costs, and we tested Alteryx running on all these different platforms actually. And the kinds of Alteryx that we use, of course, there is the designer running locally, and then there's the server running in the cloud. I don't know, Liam, do you have experience with running the server?
No, not really.
Okay, it's like the cloud version of Designer, which has some extra features and also some limitations, so which I've like highlighted here. I know that Mani was also using the server. So on the Designer, you can run as many things in parallel as you want to. You just open all the workflows, press run, basically depending on the hardware you have, right? On the server, you pay for a certain amount of cores. So we're paying to use 4 CPU cores. That means that we can run 2 simultaneous jobs at the same time. And on the server, you can schedule things to run at a certain time, which is great if you're a big company and you want to have a lot of things ready in the morning. In Designer, there's no scheduling built in. And like the annual expense is also very different. So the server costs, we are paying 100,000 euros per year for the server license that we have, and we pay 7,000 euro per year for a Designer license. So we basically wanted to test Alteryx on all the different machines that we had here, that we describe now. We have like a standard workflow representative of what we're doing with a lot of different things going on, a lot of different tools. We use the AMP engine. We've modified the workflow so that it only runs locally, so that we're not dependent on any network bottlenecks. And then we can measure the runtime in 2 different ways. We can open this one workflow and run it and measure how long that takes, or we can run a given number of them next to each other, version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, run them in parallel, and then see how well the machine performs in that scenario. And let me just get my laser pointer here. Yeah, let's just jump ahead, one slide ahead here. So basically, if you take this benchmark workflow that we run and we test it on the cloud machine that we had, this is a quite expensive cloud machine, and the Alteryx server, which is limited to running on 2 cores for one workflow. That's the red dot right here. So it costs about $9,000 per month, and the runtime for this benchmark workflow is 1,500 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could take my 5-year-old, very cheap laptop. That's the blue dot right here. It only costs a little over 10 euros per month in the monthly cost, but it's actually running at about 1,200 seconds, so it's faster than the Alteryx server solution that we had. And then if we choose a standard workstation, the time drops like this. And if we choose a very powerful workstation, we can get maybe a third of the time compared to the cheap laptop. And the different cloud machines that we've been using, these are 2 different ones, a very expensive one and just an expensive one on Amazon. They are also a lot slower than the expensive one is faster than the Alteryx server because it does not have the core limitation when you're running in Designer. But if you run in Designer, then it becomes as slow as this one over here. And basically seen as the more money you're willing to pay, the faster things become. But you also clearly see that the physical machines are a lot faster than what you can find in the cloud, basically.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And you can see that, like, going from like a cheap laptop to a very, very powerful workstation, you can cut your time down maybe by a factor of 3 or maybe 4 tops. It's not really that impressive, but it's nice to have, right? So instead of having 1 hour per day that you're wasting, you're only wasting maybe 15 minutes per day. So that's 45 minutes per day times 200 days per year work. You know, that's quite a lot of money that you can save. So that was the first finding that we had. Now, the next thing that we do is that we open a number of parallel versions of this workflow in Designer, and we do that on the cheap laptop. And then we have one running here, it takes 1,200 seconds. Then we have 2 running next to each other, and it takes about twice as much time. And then 3 next to each other. So the more things you have running at the same time on the cheap laptop, the slower it goes. Mm-hmm. If you have a powerful workstation, like the very powerful one we have in the blue down here, The difference is, of course, that on the running one job at a time is faster, but the real difference comes when you run like 10 jobs at the same time. You can see that it's barely not becoming slower than compared to when you're running one. So it can really run a lot of things in parallel. So that's the real power where the very powerful workstations really outperform a laptop. So if you take a laptop and you open 10 of these workflows, it's impossible to run them in next to each other. And this is very interesting if you're a company and you want to run a lot of things, and at the same time you have a lot of people, you have a lot of jobs you want to run. This ability to do things in parallel is really valuable. Then I introduced this concept of compute capacity. It's basically just the time that it or the number of workflows that a computer can run before the time has increased by 50%, divided by the runtime. So for this cheap laptop, one job takes 900 seconds, two jobs takes maybe 1200 seconds, and three jobs takes more than 50% longer. So this is two jobs you can do before we cross the limit. 2 divided by 877, that's this number here. This is what I call the compute capacity. So it's a combination of how fast a single job is and how many parallel jobs that you can run. And if you look at the cheap laptop we had, if we normalize the compute capacity to 1, then the standard workstation is 2.8, and the powerful workstation is 29. So you get 29 times more compute capacity in the powerful workstation that you do on the cheap laptop. Then we can show here, this shows the compute capacity now versus how much money it costs. So again, this is the Alteryx cloud version. The Alteryx server on the cloud is the red dot here. So it costs about 9,000 euro per month. And we normalize that compute capacity to 1. And then you see here on the on-premise machines, the more you pay, the more compute capacity you get. The same thing is true for the cloud-based solutions running Designer, but the cloud-based is again a lot more expensive. So here you see that you can go from like compute capacity of 1, you can go almost 100 times above that by using a powerful server. And then you can say, okay, but the compute capacity is nice to have compute capacity, but you also want to divide it by the cost. So that's like the compute efficiency, I call it, the compute cost efficiency. So it's just the compute capacity divided by the cost. And then the difference goes really extreme because then the Alteryx server is normalized to 1. And then you get like 2,400 times more cost efficiency in your computations if you use a very powerful on-premise workstation. So, you know, for us, we basically find that a cloud-based machine is typically 10 times more expensive than comparable on-prem machines. And the on-prem and the cloud-based machines are considerably slower. And we find that the Alteryx server is not cost-effective when you have an emphasis on compute performance. Of course, if you're very concerned about administration and sharing and the gallery and stuff like that, then the Alteryx server is great. But if you're concerned about computing power, then the Alteryx server, and we're not very happy with that. But we are happy with Alteryx Designer. It can scale efficiently, and you can utilize even the highest performance workstations that you can buy. That's really nice. This is by no means guaranteed, and we were quite excited to and this is really comes down to this AMP engine that Alteryx developed a couple of years ago. That's really a game changer there. So yeah, that's kind of like this little exploration we had in terms of making things more efficient in our company. So we're in the process of moving a lot of stuff from the Alteryx server in the cloud to some of these powerful physical workstations that we bought and have over here. Of course, the downside is that you don't have the built-in scheduling capability, so you have to find
you need a human being always to keep running it every day.
I don't know. It's not that big of a deal to do scheduling in Designer, really. It's quite easy.
You mean you can build a
With
schedule
scheduler licenses, is that what you mean?
No. Just do it.
job scheduling.
Yeah, I can show you right here. It's very easy.
Okay.
Like here we have. This is just one example here. So basically, I say what do I want to run. This is just a path to stuff that I want to run. So it contains two different workflows. And then when do I want to run it? Let's say I want to run it today at 15:32. Now it's 15:30. So now when I press here, nothing happens. Nothing goes to this list runner. Let's say that I keep on pressing this button. Let's make it change here, 15:31. And then you'll see here, nothing happens. But when the clock changes to 15:31, because what I'm doing here, I'm just saying that the current date time should be bigger than this. Let's just
Michael,
wait for them to. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I need to leave, but thank you very much.
Sure, Money.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were here.
Thank you very much. This scheduling is interesting on the designer piece. I'll connect with you later. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Yep.
And now the time has changed. Now it's 15:31. So we press run here. And boom. Now the list runner is activated. So you see, this is extremely basic, extremely simple, but it's just something that proves that you can make things run on demand on a specific time. And of course you could package this in all sorts of different ways. You can do a lot of fancy stuff with it. You can put all of this into a macro and then call the macro every 10 seconds. And then you could put a list of things you want to run at different times instead of one time. And you can do a lot of stuff. But and all of this basically, it's really funny because I was listening to this. There's this AMP. You guys know this podcast by Alteryx. Let me find that. It was right here. Actually, I cited right here. They have this called Alter Everything podcast, where they talk about one of the internal architects behind the AMP engine. And actually, during this podcast, he himself talks about how he was building a scheduler inside of Designer. Okay. So I would say it's common knowledge and it's not hard to do. But you can't Google it. If you try Googling it, it just says that it's impossible. So maybe common knowledge is not true, but it's certainly easy to do anyway. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
I just figured out, like, with these workflows, there's actually like a super easy way to make this, because I did it like for one of the workflows, which just checks it like maybe 3 or 4 like X amount of times, like if it works. Mm-hmm. And you just need to make it a loop, and then like that loop just needs to have the date, like, and maybe like have a wait 10 seconds or 1 minute at the end of it.
Yeah, that's it. Precisely. So there are like 100 different ways that you can build scheduling into the desktop version of Designer.
With that, does it require the workflows to be open then on an active desktop?
Yes, it requires the active desktop to be, of course, turned on 24/7, and it requires them to be open at all times.
Okay. So during the night time, or if you're trying to schedule that, then
yes,
it requires. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be open. So yeah, and that was like, for us, that was pretty much a game changer, because we obviously we need to be able to schedule things to run things during the night. But it wasn't really that big of a deal to make that capability happen in the local versions. And then with all the money that you're saving, you can just buy a dedicated machine and install Alteryx on it, and pay for the Designer license and have it switched on all the time and lock it into a safe room, and So that's the way that we're trying to move anyway.
Yeah.
Any other questions to this? This is the machine that we're using, the expensive, powerful machine. So it costs 8,000 euros. It has 32 CPU cores, 512 gigabytes of RAM, and 2 times 2 terabytes of SSD memory on the local drives. And we had an even more powerful one also for the company calculations that we want to do. And yeah, so like this workstation costs as much as the Alteryx server license costs for 1 month. So that's a pretty wild thing.
So
I
we
think.
can buy every month one supercomputer, and we'll have
Yeah.
eventually.
That's right. We would quickly run out of room.
Just have like 10 supercomputers that we
Yeah,
can
and then
connect at all time.
if you look at a machine in the cloud, this is like the most powerful cloud workstation that we've tried. It costs 1,000 euro per month, every single month. It's called the C54X Extra Large on Amazon, and it has like 32 gigabytes of RAM and 8 cores. What?
Ridiculous.
We had 32 cores and 512 gigabytes of RAM on the physical machine for 8,000 total, right? So our experience is that it's pretty much a ripoff on these cloud. I don't know if I'm stupid or what, but I've been Googling and I'm working in a company with professional IT department, So these are the guys telling me that this is what's available, and this is with all the company discounts that we can get. So I'm not so impressed with this cloud universe, really. Of course, there are disadvantages to having physical machines, right? I mean, if the power goes out, or the network cable is cut off, or someone switches it off, or if it breaks, there are
The
drawbacks.
only limiting thing is that the internet speed, like internet cable at this point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
if we
true.
can get an even better internet connection, then that would increase quite a lot.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So if we that was this presentation here, and then like normally we have maybe like 10 people participating. So I think we're not that many today. So I was trying to like do a little bit of on. Normally we have 2 presentations, and this time I thought we'd have 1 presentation and then try and have a discussion about what we could imagine to change if we wanted Alteryx to be even better. And I've been actually getting some pushback from other people on the internet by talking about this, like, because they think I'm like criticizing Alteryx and talking trash about it, and that's definitely not the case. I mean, I really love Alteryx. I would seriously consider quitting my job if people prevented me from using Alteryx, and then find another place where I could work with Alteryx. That's how much I like it. So instead of like, so don't get me wrong, but I think it could be useful to talk about ideas for improvements. Maybe we can learn about solutions that other people have done, and go to a better place, right?
It's product development, right?
Yeah.
So you want to have a better product.
So, like as a thought exercise, I mean, you could sit down and think, like, imagine a few things, one to 3 things, if they changed compared to today, that would make life with Alteryx a lot better. So what could that be? Off the top of your head, Liam, do you have any ideas for what that should be?
There was something that was playing on my mind, but it's quite specific, maybe, like, which was I was thinking about how to like navigate around the canvas on Alteryx, and like how that could be made easier to navigate, especially when when you have a massive workflow and you're trying to search for tools and trying to debug some kind of workflow.
Yeah.
And I was like playing about a bit with the find and replace, the find and replace functionality within a workflow, so you can search for like columns or names of tools or various things like that.
Yeah. I've never tried this in my life.
Yeah, it's something I only discovered like this year, and I've been using Alteryx for I don't know 4 years now. So it's like, but I was trying to think to myself, it was almost just like a bit of an experiment once I found it, of like how I could optimize it to save time, because previously I'd spent a lot of time just kind of dragging my way around the interface on the canvas, and yeah, this at least like did speed some things up, but it was mainly around like how can I name tool, like can I create like a naming convention for tools on the canvas that then makes it much easier for me to search for them when in here, and like because yeah, I guess it's like it's a general thought piece around documentation in Alteryx, which I think it's great that you can have like comment boxes and things like that, but I think they're quite manual to use, and they don't necessarily like interact with anything else in the interface.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
good
it's
idea.
like it's like very different. Like if you're in Python or some other like text-based programming language, you have a lot of these blocks, and you can like search and replace a lot easier, and
Yeah,
you can collapse things in these blocks and stuff like that. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah, I
but
guess
yeah,
that's a quite.
Oh, but that would
as I
also be
say,
like very.
oh sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry about it. I was gonna say that with this, like the search or like find or replace, I think it's gonna be great if at least like the tools, like let's say you search for a column, like you could find the first initial tool that uses that specific column name, so you can go exactly in the very beginning, or like at least it's ordered by the beginning of that tool. Like that would be so useful, because right now it's like, oh, column ID this and this. Obviously, like you can pan out to see which ones are highlighted.
Yeah,
But like you said, you've had 100 tools, then
yeah, exactly.
sometimes you don't know where to look at.
Yeah, yeah, very, very valid point. Any other things that you've noticed, Liam? You've said you've been working for 4 years in this, so you're quite experienced.
What are the things that generally come up? Well, I mean, I think completely on topic with what you've been you presented on, like I guess I don't have a necessarily like an alternative solution, but like scheduling has usually been a big issue when I've gone to work for various clients, where I guess it kind of relates to the pricing structure as well with Alteryx and that sort of thing, where they don't necessarily want to buy Alteryx server, and then they're a bit reluctant to kind of schedule things that way through what Alteryx would recommend. So they find a way around, like as as you've been discussing, in terms of like finding an alternative. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of things more like maybe functionality based of the software. I mean, someone else can jump in with what I'm.
Yeah, I have an example. Like I have these tools, these input tools that are connected to a database. Like, and then when you press when you want to configure it, you can see the details here. Input data. This is from Snowflake. But then when you like you want to select the SQL query here, you press here.
Yeah.
And I pressed it and nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. And then it came. And I press here and like it's like for some reason it's like really slow, you see? This is like a super fast workstation. So something is just like really. I press this guy here and I go into the configure. I clicked it. Nothing happens. 2, 3 seconds, right? So it's just like, and yeah, 2 or 3 seconds. It's no big deal. This is not a big problem. It's just like it's just annoying when you do it 100 times a day.
Yeah.
So that's like a really small thing, right?
Yeah.
Do you have anything, Daniel, that you've experienced?
Well, my main issues were with the gallery to begin with.
Yeah,
like there's so many issues there that actually like it sucks quite a lot, and it could have been done so much better. Especially like if you have admin access, like you should actually have admin access, not just a pretend admin access. Yeah, because right now, like even if you have admin access, like that doesn't allow you to look at all the workflows which are there, which is kind of ridiculous because like you should have that possibility. And like it should also be way easier to find those workflows. Also, like if you are trying to find a workflow in the designer, that's also quite annoying because it doesn't always pop up, even if you write the exact name, and you've published it like right now. So you should be able to find it, and it doesn't always pop up. So the search functionality is not great in that sense. Also, like when you have when you publish a workflow and you can have like 5 which have like this exact same name, and obviously you need to go to designer to look which one is the latest one, so it doesn't automatically replace a running workflow, which could also be definitely made way better. Or like, oh, there's a workflow name. Are you sure you want to replace how it is like in almost every other software out there? That could also be way better. Or like it has to be saved at a different name if it has like exactly the same name, which is kind of ridiculous. Still like most of my issues are with the gallery.
I think before this this user group meeting, we tried to go around the table and collect different ideas for improvements. And this is basically the list that we had at that time. So this is what you were just talking about, Daniel, with the Alteryx server web interface, right? The access to list runners uploaded, it can be hard to find. The admin view not being fully functional, and the search functionality. Then we had this scheduling thing here that Liam also mentioned, that I've been mentioning here. It would be great if they had that built in so that you don't have to sit and invent it. There are a lot of people who want it but don't have it, and they think it's impossible. But I mean, with just 3 or 4 or 5 tools, you can make it possible. So it's quite interesting. Of course, yeah, it's quite expensive, especially the server solution.
Yeah.
I've also often thought that like the pricing policy and the number of users are kind of connected, right? The more expensive something is, the more exclusive it is, the fewer users. So like if you could have a cheaper Alteryx product, you could get more users. And I still like, if I tell people in a bar that I work at with Alteryx, they don't know what I'm talking about. If I say that I work in Python or Visual Basic, some people will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And being not a lot of users has drawbacks, right? So that would be an improvement. And of course, you can. This is just dreaming. I know that we can't just snap our fingers and fix this, right?
Yeah. I mean, even if Alteryx, I think if they were thinking of like, okay, if we're gonna like offer it for cheaper, then maybe we'll just scale back like the scope of the tool, like make it a slightly simpler version and for less money. Even that I think would be a good option, because I think they probably lose a lot of possible users to competitors just because of that pricing. So like if it's comparable to, like, for example, I work with Tableau quite a lot. Like if it's comparable to like Tableau Prep, which some people might opt to use just because they're like, well, we're never going to pay that much for Alteryx, we'll just have to use this simpler tool. That would even be a better option.
Yeah, make some more differentiation in their products.
Yeah.
Would be a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I experience, like, when I'm working in Designer, on an average week, I have several times that it crashes. And that's not normal. I mean, all the other software things that I'm using on my machine, they almost never crash. Do you guys experience anything like that?
I have done, but I think probably, well, at least in my work more recently, I don't think I've been kind of using it too intensely, and like, yeah, I don't think I've kind of been challenging the tool too much. So I think it's been fine for me, like just running kind of one workflow, like fairly basic workflow.
Yeah. What about you, Daniel? Do you experience?
Yeah, if I open 2 or 3 things and I press run, sometimes like it just dies. But also sometimes I actually had like a weird experience like a few days ago, and I was just trying to change like some paths, and if it had a read query from from SQL connector, when I tried to change these things, I had to click save almost every time because I knew that it was gonna crash. So maybe some of the SQL connectors are responsible for the crashes, and I don't know why. Even if I'm not running anything, just one workflow, and it's not even run, and it's not even heavy.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
So that's actually kind of weird.
Yeah.
I think the number 3 and 4 there would like apply well, or like, because as I said, like, I think most of my work is data visualization as well as like some data prep, but yeah, I think definitely that would add something if this kind of the chart tools or visualization tools within Alteryx were better, or something that was integrated with Alteryx that would work well. Because I think like at least when I was learning to use Alteryx and kind of speaking to other people, that was just something just to steer clear of. Like, it wasn't even like a on the radar as like, oh yeah, we could use that. It's like, oh, just look for something else.
Yeah, I certainly would like to have a better interactive chart tool as well. I mean, it's very useful to, like, just to get a quick interactive glance at stuff, at your data, without having to like leave the platform and moving into something else and plot it there and go back and and it's like sometimes I feel like, I don't know if it's my interests, or like I'm totally not interested in all the geolocating stuff that Alteryx is famous for. I never really work with any of that or have any colleagues that work with it. Maybe it's a big part of their business, and maybe that's really where they're really, really strong. And I'm just not the kind of user that really needs that.
Yeah.
Or you're the type of user that they really need to have.
maybe there's more of my kind. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, was that it? Probably that. I think that's more or less it. Yeah. Anything else? Actually, one thing that I did notice, we had talked about a lot of these things on the server, and there was actually in the community updates, they have planned for the public preview. So there's the 24.2 release, which is coming soon, and you can actually sign up to get the preview version of it here. And notice here that exciting features available, and under server, they say UI search and sort improvements.
Oh.
That sounds like Daniel speaking here. So I think that might be interesting. It's definitely in resonance with some of the things that we've talked about during this chat here about what could improve Alteryx. So it seems like they're aware of some of it at least.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. And another thing I stumbled upon was this one here from the community as well. There's actually an Alteryx user experience research panel. So instead of, I'm often feel like I'm this grumpy guy sitting here complaining about stuff, but I could also just sign up with Alteryx and then I could talk to them directly and influence them maybe. Maybe that would be a more effective way. So it's definitely, there are definitely possibilities. I was part of this, they had this push, this Aiden thing here. Have you heard about that, Liam?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much of the detail, but I had heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually part of. They have this Aiden Copilot preview initiative where the users could sign up, and I was part of that. It was pretty fun. Then you get access in your own designer version to the Aiden interface, a little chatbot that you can talk to, and that was a quite fun process. And they really spend a lot of time like interviewing us and instructing us beforehand and stuff like that. So I would say it sure seems like a company that wants to develop the platform further, and they also want to engage with their users. That's definitely my impression.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there anything you found? Like, is this already out or in beta?
It's in testing among in this Copilot preview program. So and the cool thing is that if you join it, then it says here, I think there after you're finished with the evaluation effort, you still have access to it, and it's continually improving. So this is like a cool way to get free access to something brand new. So I can only recommend that. It's quite fun, and like the things they want you to do to be part of this program only takes like maybe 1 or 2 hours of work, maximum 3 over a period of several weeks. So it's not like a big deal.
Yeah.
So that was quite fun. But at when I was part of the evaluation process for this Aiden here, it was still very early days, and they still have a lot of work to do. That was like my takeaway. I wasn't like blown away by it. But with these AI stuff, if you look away for a couple of weeks and you look at it again, and then it's changed a lot, right? So
yeah.
So have you tried it so far?
Yeah, I had it running in my designer. I lost it again because I had to like reformat my machine, but I had it for over a month, and I was not impressed. Actually, I used ChatGPT with Alteryx a lot more, and that's much better. I can you can take the XML file directly and give it to ChatGPT or whatever they're called, these chatbots, and ask questions and get it to modify the workflow, and that works.
Okay.
The most cool thing that I've tried is that I can take an Alteryx workflow, even a pretty complicated one, and then I can give it to ChatGPT, who will convert it to SQL. And then I can run the SQL directly on the server, and that's like 50 times faster than anything in Alteryx.
Oh wow!
It's like
Okay.
it's really crazy, and there's almost no limit to how complicated you can make it. So that was kind of like an eye opener, and that's like if you could do that conversion by just like pressing a button, built into Alteryx, that would be a total in my world, that would be a very, very big deal.
So as in did you drag the file into ChatGPT, or you copied the XML into ChatGPT, or?
Yeah. Let me show you. I think I have an example here. What's it called? What was it called? I have it somewhere here. Analysis, Alteryx, ChatGPT demo here. Choose one here. That's a bad example. Another demo here. No. These guys here. Where do I have it? Yeah, I have it. I'm trying to find it there. There we go. Here we are. Okay, so like I have this workflow here.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of stuff, a lot of standard stuff. And then I can just put this guy in a container and shut it off. And these these connectors needs to be refreshed. We can do that very easily. Paste. This is the slow thing again. There we go. And I can paste there. See if it'll run now. Yeah, so basically this is a standard thing we do in Alteryx, and then I can take this file here and I can save it, and then I can like open it as just as a text file.
Oh, yeah.
And then I can give that into the ChatGPT interface.
Okay, yeah.
And then I can say, I want you to convert this to SQL.
Right.
And I want you to do it methodically and follow the same logical steps that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then it'll see, sure, here's the SQL equivalent. So by doing that, I then got let's activate this guy here. Then I can get this stuff here. And I'm no expert at SQL. I mean, I'm very, very beginner. So I would never be able to do this on my own, but then it gives me, let me see if it can even respond. Why is it so sluggish here? See, this is the thing. I need to put my little string here. That's why. Let's try again. Coming. And voila. So this is what ChatGPT then made for me. And there's a whole lots of stuff going on here, or a lot of this stuff, blah 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 blah. And then I can basically just run that, and then I do this join tool where I like show that all the data is the same, right? And when you time this thing, the pure SQL is 50 times faster than doing it this other way. And I think it's because these SQL servers are extremely optimized for running these SQL commands on the databases. So that's just totally, they optimized the shit out of it many years ago.
Yeah.
Compared to these general purpose machines that we're otherwise working on. So that was a fun thing for me anyway. And like if you make a button in Alteryx where it says convert to SQL, yes, please, that would be nice.
That's a really good idea. I mean, you wanna do it, you wanna talk to them anyways with your suggestions, so might as well.
Yeah, but of course the problem with companies is that they also have to think like a company, right? They have to say, well, how can we earn money on this? How can we get more business? Maybe that's not optimum for their business. I don't know.
Well, if they have the option to use this, like this, then why the hell not?
Yeah, and making a better product that excites the users is ultimately good for their business, right? So yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what else you guys had, but this is more or less what I had planned. Of course, join the Nordics User Group on the community page to be part of this ongoing discussions that we have. The next meeting is going to be in Q4. I suggest Wednesday, December the 11th.
Yeah.
So, and now we have all the volunteers here fighting among themselves to do the next presentation. So if any of you guys have anything on any level you want to show or share, doesn't have to be a PowerPoint, it could just be something in Designer. Feel free, it would be great. Or just, just from my point of view, just seeing what others are doing, I mean, is interesting. Just whatever, because when I have things like running on my machine, I don't even notice what is like unique to my way of working. And when other people open up their own screens, I see, holy shit, it looks completely different from what I'm doing. And that's just interesting. So it would be great if someone would be willing to spend 15-20 minutes sharing something like that at some point. And with that said, there's the meeting survey here, which I can only ask that you click on and or you scan this little thingy here, because that will mean that you can do there's a little questionnaire about how this thing felt.
Give you 5 stars, Michael.
There's also a link here. I can put that in the chat. I don't even know how to do this in Zoom. Never mind. Yeah. So I think that's all from me. I'm glad that we had Liam with us. Daniel and I, we work together in the same company, so it's kind of like
All right. Okay.
a little bit cheating, right? So it wouldn't. We just barely made it to have even a meeting here, Liam. So I'm very glad that you joined us.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize you worked in the same company as well. But
How could you know?
yeah. Well, I thought like I've been I'm from the UK, as you might hear from my accent, but like I've been living in Finland for a year now, and I was planning to. I think I probably did join the user group online or something a while ago, but I haven't made it to any meetings, so I thought you should come along. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I've been to like the Alteryx Inspire events a couple of times, and
Yeah.
they're great and fantastic, but it's more like a one-way communication. I feel like just sitting around a virtual table, different users talking about our everyday lives and the things that we're, dreaming about or struggling with is also a valuable thing, I think. So and that's where the user group comes in, I think. How many Alteryx colleagues do you have in your workplace?
Not many actually. So I'm a consultant, so in the consultancy there's maybe like 3 that I know of. Maybe at a stretch 4. Yeah, and I guess like, we're not always working on Alteryx projects, but yeah, I think probably a couple of others who are like experienced users, and then some other people who've maybe just touched it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar to us. We are like, 3 to 4 people also.
Okay.
And the whole company is 450 people.
Right.
So it's like a small cadre of Alteryx guys. And then the stuff that we build, of course, is used by everyone.
Right.
Every
Sure.
single day.
Yeah.
and we only work like internally. We're a production company building lasers. So, but there's a lot of stuff to report internally as well.
Yeah.
And we started in, I think, 2018. I started in 2018 on Alteryx.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we've grown from that.
Okay. Yeah. Did you have experience or knowledge of it before then, or was it like
No.
literally from scratch at that?
It came out of the blue. I was like this data guy for many years and using like Visual Basic or Excel and Python and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then we had like this visionary CFO who said that I want to have a lot of business intelligence in the company,
Yeah.
and we're going to be using Alteryx.
Okay.
Somewhere at some meeting, somewhere in his world, he he heard about that, and he just said, "This is what I decide, and here's the money, and here are the people that you're going to learn from," and that was great, you know.
Cool.
So I had this like 6 months crash course where they converted a lot of my stuff, these consultants, to Alteryx, and that was, for me, that was the perfect way to learn, like a program that I know that I made, converted by someone into Alteryx. That was just like great, fantastic learning experience. And then I've just played around with it ever since. And
Yeah. Okay.
I think like one of the things that I like most about it is like the thing that was hardest to wrap my head around in the beginning, this visual programming. That really, like, because that was like a total different way of thinking, and like where is the cursor pointer at? Like normally, like in a line-based programming, you have like one line at a time, right? That's not how it works in Alteryx. And that was like in my mind, that was just like a hard thing to understand. But once that came under my skin, you know, then it felt much better.
Yeah.
Like opening up something that someone else has made is a lot easier to look at than it is like looking at some Python that someone else made. Is like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so no, it's definitely a great product, I think, even with the shortcomings that we've been discussing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any kind of coding background, so as like a no code or low code type tool, like I think it's amazing, or like amazing for me to discover. And there was like such a powerful thing that I'm like, oh, what, you can do this? You can transform data in this way? Oh, whoa, like is
Yeah. Yeah, like even like if you're in like Power BI or even in, I don't know much about Tableau, but like Power BI, they also have these programming languages built in, which is like very line-based technical stuff again. Like, so if you're not a like coding guy, it's quite daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also why it's like for me frustrating that there's not more users for Alteryx, because Alteryx should have like an audience that's much bigger than the usual nerd programmers, right? I mean, they can go beyond that, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like too bad that they. Yeah. You were saying something, Daniel?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that maybe for the next meeting, it might be fun if we have, I don't know, like maybe an easier way or a smarter way to migrate workflows and files with interdependencies. I think that might be
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, given that's what we're doing right now, and I find it very annoying and time consuming.
Yeah, it's good to talk about something that you have like in your brain right now. It's makes it a lot easier.
Yeah,
would you be willing to walk us through some of the experiences with that next time?
Yeah, why not?
Perfect. That's the attitude, and we have it on video, so there's no escaping now, Daniel.
Oh no! It was the other Daniel.
Perfect. We have a volunteer.
All right.
And you just need to volunteer to participate next time, Liam.
Yeah. We'll see what I can find.
Yeah. No, just participate to or volunteer to participate. That's the only
Oh,
thing.
right. Yeah.
Well, now we have it in video also. Can't back out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yeah.
It was a little bit, we came into it a little bit sideways, but I think we went through everything in more or less orderly fashion still. So, until next time.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you, Liam.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you too.
Hope to meet you again.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Take care. See you.
Bye. I'm just trying to leave the meeting. How the hell do I leave the meeting?
Close the tabs.
There it is. I found the end button. Goodbye, Daniel.
Bye-bye.